Hello, my name is Andres Marquez. I am a musician, session musician and teacher out in Whittier, California. I guess music and the arts in general are my vocation, basically, and it's been a passion for pretty much the entirety of my life. I created the Camerata, I guess, in order to, create a community of arts in my neighborhood specifically. Not sure if any of y'all are familiar with Whittier, but it's kind of desolate when it comes to live arts. You can go to LA and Orange County for, arts scenes, as it were, but Whittier is just kind of not dead, but it's dead. I'll just say it's kind of dead when it comes to the live art scene. But I really wanted to create something that was more centered around the Whittier area, and eventually it just kind of branched out to all sorts of scenes all throughout LA and the Inland Empire and Orange County. But in the end, it was mostly just about creating community and creating opportunities for artists to, have their art on display, live shows and galleries and all that kind of stuff. In the 2 years since we began, it's really spread out to just, everywhere in SoCal. Camerata started in September 2018. That's when we held our first live event. It was a pretty modest affair. It was just, a little backyard show held in my backyard. We have a little wooden stage in the back, and we just threw drums and amps on it. It was a good time, though. It was amazing. I can't downplay how fun that was. But yeah, the Camerata has basically been sort of an engine for a whole bunch of weird collaborative artistic events and projects. Before COVID, we had a lot of live events. We had, different concerts and art galleries. But yeah, we've had concerts at different venues and people's houses and stuff like that. We've had just straight up art galleries and, events where people can vend their work. We've been trying to create events that are multimedia. So it's not just music, it's not just art. We want to try and combine different forms of art for our events, or we did before the pandemic started. Now that we can't really have events, what we've been mostly focusing on, aside from social media, which is kind of our main attraction, as it were, we've just been trying to create collaborative projects that are, more distanced in nature. Like I had mentioned earlier, we have a podcast, and everybody who guests on it, we all do it, from our homes or from whatever location. We use a platform called Zencastr for that, so we don't actually have to meet up in person.
In your art, do you, portray people, or what kind of things do you portray in your art?
It's mostly people, and I sort of do a lot of comic work, and those are my main projects. I sort of do everything else as side work while I work on my comic work, but it normally almost always centers around LGBT themes. A lot of stuff looking at the idea of corporations buying out our entire world, what happens after the apocalypse, all these sorts of ideas of how terrible the world could go.
We've also been doing these kind of monthly collaborative projects. Like last month, we released a mixtape on Bandcamp featuring a whole bunch of local artists, local musicians. This month, we're actually going to be releasing an art book, and I'm really excited for that. It's going to be featuring more local artists, local illustrators, and all these pieces are going to be revolving around the theme of New Year's resolutions, because it is January. So yeah, we've kind of been just, I guess our main fare at the moment, because of COVID, has been less physical and tangible events and more concepts and collaborative ideas. And it's honestly, I think it's really just birthed a new creative life into what the Camerata used to be and what it will be. I can't turn up the radio button, I'm Camerata has basically been kind of the focus of my life for the past 2 years. It's grown from just me trying to throw together these really ragtag little events in different corners of the county to or I think a real community, honestly. And that's one of the most important things about the Camerata for me is less what we do than who we get to do it with. And I think that's really one of the most rewarding parts of it, just being able to commune and to create with amazing people from all over SoCal. It's definitely not an engine for success in the term of, financial success or whatever. We're not at that level yet, but being able to see artists like, I got shouted out on the Camerata, and people have been finding my art through the Camerata and that kind of stuff. That's meaningful to me, because as an artist myself, as a musician, I've always had the dream of being able to make a living off of art. And it's, it seems to grow tougher every day, but, even at this stage that I'm at right now, and even at the stage of most of the artists that I work with, constantly striving towards that's been, it's a journey, and it's been a beautiful journey, honestly.